everyone, welcome to All About You, and today we are going to help all of you to overcome doubts. Doubt has been a great villain that has been trying to impede us from achieving, from conquering things in life to glorify God, and also when it comes to our spiritual lives. How many people were strong one day, and from the moment they allowed the doubts to sink into their minds and their lives, everything went upside down. So we are here to help you out. Maybe you are struggling with doubts right now. You're doubting yourself. You are doubting that God is going to answer you. How to overcome that? How to get rid of that once and for all? Well, today we have here our friends who are going to help us out with this. And first of all, let's talk about that doubts. That when you think about it, when you use your mind, it doesn't make much sense. Why is this doubt coming? When you think about it, there's no reason for this doubt to come, but still it comes and tries to sink in and stay. How can you overcome these kind of doubts?
Well, when you identify you have a certain doubt, I think everyone can relate to this topic today, because those doubts that has no evidence to support the doubt. You think you start doubting, basing yourself in what you see, in the situations that are happening right before your eyes. So you start suffering for things that didn't even happen to you. You start suffering beforehand. And when you least see that, there you are, full of doubts, full of worries. Let's say everybody in your working place is being sacked. So you think, I am also gonna be fired. And it didn't even happen to you. This has no evidence to support. You didn't even hear the words to yourself, but you doubt.
That's true. Except who said because other people are being fired, you're going to be fired as well?
Exactly.
I think another point as well is when, especially women, when you start comparing yourself with others, and then you look around and you say, wow, she's developing. I'm not like her. There is something wrong with me. I have to search. Maybe I'm not well. Or, you start comparing your life with others, and then you start thinking that your life has to change in the same way that person's life is changing, or you have to achieve in the same way and at the same time that other person is achieving. And our life is something personal, isn't it? We don't achieve at the same time, we don't conquer at the same time, but many times because of comparison, we started doubting ourselves, even though there is no evidence whatsoever, right?
Yes. Exactly. So when the fear comes, how can you overcome, for example? Because doubt is also a fear. When you doubt yourself, you're afraid, maybe I'm not going to make it. Maybe I'm not going to do a good job. I'm not going to do well like this person. When you talked about comparison, I'm not going to do as well as this person is doing. It's a fear. How can you confront that? How can you overcome? Actually, I already said it. How can you overcome doubts that come and there's no ground for it? There's no, as you said, evidence for them. How can you do it? When we confront it, when we go against it. Like, for example, I'm not good enough. I cannot make it. What do? Go there and do it. So when you go in the faith, when you use your faith doesn't need evidence. It just goes. And then the evidence comes later.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes, I think you got the right word, faith, right? Because faith, as we know, is the assurance of things we don't see. So normally when we don't see things, we tend to doubt. But when you lack faith, doubts have more room inside of you. But when you are in the faith, doubts has no room. They have no room whatsoever. So I think the secret here is faith.
Faith makes that big monster to become something so small. And the interesting and nice thing about faith is that even though people around you might be doubting, you can stand up and say, no, but I'm gonna make it. You don't need other people to make it Faith gives you this power, even though maybe you failed before, even though people are failing by your side or no one is developing or conquering, you can do it yourself. Faith gives you this power to overcome.
Exactly. Yes. And what about the doubts, the different kind of doubts that now has evidence? What do I mean by that? I mean, you know those doubts that you have and you try to rebuke and you say, get out of my mind, doubts. Or people come to you and say, you know, just rebuke it, move on. You know, God is with you, and you go there and you try to overcome. You try to say, no, I can make it, but it doesn't go away. You know, this kind of doubts. These are the doubts that has something backing it up. It came from somewhere, and usually comes from where? It comes from something that maybe you did. Maybe it's a sin, hidden sin that you have inside of you, something bad that you did, and maybe you said, oh, but I asked God already to forgive me. But you didn't open up, you didn't confess. Maybe it's something that, for example, if you serve God, or you're doing the work of God, and you did something wrong, and then you say, no, I asked God to forgive me already, He forgave me, but you didn't open up to say what happened to you, what was wrong. You were not open and sincere about it. What is going to happen to you? When you go to pray, even though you may say, yes, God forgave me, something in the back of your mind is going to be there, accusing you, because God speaks to us in our conscience. So if the conscience is accusing you, your conscience is heavy, how can faith work? And when faith is lacking in us, what comes? Doubt. Is God really going to answer my prayer?
Yeah, doubts are the evidence that you are lacking communion with God. Doubts are the evidence that you are not investing in your relationship with God, strengthening yourself. That's why doubts are bombarding constantly, being supported by something that you may be hiding, as you said, a secret, something you confessed to God, but you didn't have the courage to say to something that involves someone else. You should say to that person, but you don't say. So, right, Raquel.
Yeah, I think that as you were saying, I could imagine that person that owes money, you know, and then every time you look at that person, you feel like, oh my God,
your conscience accuses you.
You are always followed up by that situation, by that problem. So when you doubt because you did something wrong and you didn't fix it properly, that doubt will be always following you. So you can pray, you can accept a positive word, but sooner or later that doubt will be there because you didn't solve the problem properly. So sometimes the person tries to solve in other ways, but doesn't want to go to the way of sacrifice, isn't it? That's going to solve the problem.
This made me remember now that verse that says, my just shall live by faith. It means that you should do things right. You should do what is right. To be just is to do what is right. And you live by faith. Based on the justice.
We need to be able to overcome any kind of feeling. For example, what are they going to think about me? What is going to happen to me? You need to get to a point where, you know, you need to overcome your pride as well. You're afraid of losing your reputation, because otherwise, what is going to happen? Your conscience is going to still there, be heavy. Your communion with God, as you said, is going to be affected. And then, how can your faith work? Faith does not work if your conscience is heavy. And another thing that can affect our conscience is when God asks something from us and we don't do it.
Yes.
When God asks something, I want you to do this, I want you to give up that. We know, but we leave that to the back, to the side, but we don't do it.
Yes, when you are not doing what you are supposed to do. In all the senses, with God, maybe with your husband, with your friend, your family, your mom, your dad, with your studies, with your working place, with your boss. So you're working, you are in your Facebook. Of course, your conscience is gonna accuse, doubts are gonna come that you're
That's
gonna be
why
fired.
That's why then you have
Yes.
basis, isn't it?
You have basis to
Yes.
believe that you can be fired.
And sometimes there are people who are in the church who say, I'm a Christian, I've been serving God for many years, but they always, in the moment when God says, okay then, so stop doing this. No, I don't want to do that. So maybe this person who is watching us feel this way, but I've been in the church for so long. I am a good person. I help people who are in need. I evangelize, I do a lot of things, but in the moment, in that one-to-one with God, when God asks something from them, and sometimes it's something that's so small compared with what they are asking from God, they deny.
Sometimes God said to you, forgive. It's not worth it. Do not hold on to this grudge. Forgive, let go. And the person doesn't let go, doesn't forgive. No, but what he did to me was too bad, was too strong. No. What God asks from you, no, serve, help. Do first to others. You want to respect first. But you don't. If he doesn't respect me, I'm not going to respect him. If he doesn't do or she doesn't do, good to me, I'm not going to do good to them. So in the back of your mind, well, actually everybody knows by the book how things should be done. But when the moment comes, because it requires sacrifice, the person doesn't do it. So sometimes the person answers back. Answers back the parents, answers back the husband, doesn't respect him. So God speaks to them, I don't want you to be like this. Stop being like that. Sometimes you are dealing with the things of God in a very carelessly way. You always arrive late in the service, always leave things for the last minute. And God says to you, look at the way you're serving me. Look at the way you are dealing with the things of God. So the person knows and the person doesn't do all the time. So what is going to happen? How can you go to God and have this assurance that He's going to answer you if you're not doing what He's asking you to do? Like, we have campaigns, we have purposes where God asks us personally, as you were saying, personally, to us what He wants from us. How can you have the assurance of your victory and claim it and go there and conquer whatever you want to conquer? How can you go with this assurance inside of you? Like the people, many years ago, the people of Israel, they used to present sacrifices to God. And these sacrifices, when they went, they left with the assurance that God was with them in battle. They had to do it because they needed that assurance. How could they go and fight against the enemies without that assurance, isn't it?
And that makes the whole difference. That's why sometimes people think that to serve God is so complicated. But it's not complicated, because the secret is to do not what we think is right or what is comfortable for us, but to do what God is telling, because we can see only a little thing. God can see the whole thing. So when He tells us go to the right, it's for us to avoid the doubts, the fear, the failure. So I believe that's the secret for us to start moving on with our lives. When we, in order to avoid the doubts that make sense, is when you listen to God, who is the person who knows us the best. So listen to Him and follow His advice.
Exactly. You need to be ready, willing and ready to do what God is asking you. So how can you overcome this kind of doubts? When you do something about what is causing this problem, this heavy conscience. What is God asking from you? Maybe He's telling you to go and confess what is going wrong inside of you. You know this that is killing you bit by bit, but you do not ask for help. You do not open up. You keep hiding that with you. Until when you're going to be like that? How can you be free from this? How can you overcome things and have this assurance unless you do what God is asking you? So I believe this message has helped you. But if you have any more questions, would like to know more about it or ask our help, our support, you can send us an email to godlywooduk@uckg.org. So keep this message inside of you, meditate, examine yourself, analyze yourself, and do something about it, okay? Thank you so much for being with us, and we see you here next Monday, ladies, with another topic. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.